Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the BenchWire podcast. We're on episode 53 already, which is crazy, but we got a lot in store for you guys today. We're recapping week one, great slate of games this past weekend, and all of the primetime matchups as well. And once again, I'm joined by Justin. How's it going today, Justin?
Man, it's going great. What a slate of games this past weekend. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I don't want to waste any more time. Let's just jump right into it, man. A lot to get
Yeah,
into.
let's get into it. So let's talk about the first matchup of the week. We had the Thursday night football game on Thursday night, and the Chiefs got the job done. They won over the Baltimore Ravens there. It was a game down to the wire at the very end, and I just wanted to hear your initial reaction to that game.
Yeah, I guess I'll just start by saying the overall consensus from every game is that it was pretty sloppy. Like a lot of the games, you saw the week one rust, right? Because a lot of the teams opt really not to play much of the starters at all. So we'll highlight some of the mistakes that are probably just a result of not playing and that kind of thing. But I felt like in the beginning, it was like I believe each team started off with a 3-and-out. So the offenses were not good to click right away. And then when the Ravens got the ball back, they went down and Derrick Henry scored the touchdown there. So that was fun. And then the Chiefs answered right back. So this game was a lot of fun. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a typical Harbaugh versus Reed, Mahomes versus Jackson, what you wanted. And that last drive is the thing that sticks out with me, where Lamar Jackson had Zay Flowers running in the back of the end zone, and he threw it behind him. He missed him. And I guess post game, we were talking about it off camera, but he was saying that he was looking for Rashad Bateman, and it was Say Flowers wasn't the target. I don't know if that's true. Maybe he was looking at it, but it looked like he was targeting Zay and just completely missed threw it behind him. Maybe thought he was going to stop some kind of thing there, but great game. And then that Isaiah Likely catch that was ruled not a catch. It was on the line. I thought what a catch right in the moment. Oh, that was great. But then, man, I wish he caught that and stayed in bounds. I wanted an overtime game so bad. But what a game overall. And yeah, and Mahomes, Rashid Rice, and Xavier Worthy look like great options there. Great threats. So Chiefs are going to be a force, man. But the Ravens, I think, are going to bounce back and be just fine. So overall, good game. I was very happy with how the season started. I think we're in for a great season.
Yeah, that was a great game, a fun Thursday night football game to start off the season. And yeah, went down right to the wire. And I thought, the Ravens were about to bring them to overtime. But yeah, unfortunate that Isaiah Likely stepped out of bounds. And yeah, it was a good showing between both teams. There's too many flags, though, too many stupid penalties. And, that penalty on the left tackle, I believe Ronnie Staley, is that his name? Is that correct? I believe
Yeah,
that's
Ronnie
yeah.
Stanley.
So they kept doing like illegal formation because he wasn't lined up truly with the guard and center there, and he was too off the ball. And they've been calling that flag a lot this past weekend, and they said they will be calling that flag more. And I just feel like it's stupid. It's a stupid penalty. It's ruining the flow of the game, and I did not like that call at all. But other than that, it was a fun game. Lamar looked great. He was doing Lamar things, and he was stretching the play when the play looked dead, and he kept plays alive, and that's what he does. He's a playmaker. Hopefully, he's healthy for week two. I heard that he might have an injury here. I don't know how serious it is. He might be sore from week one, Harbaugh was saying, but yeah, all in all, great game. Saw a lot of flashes. Xavier Worthy, Derrick Henry, when he was getting the ball, he was making some plays there as well. But all in all, great game, great start to the season. And yeah, looking forward to seeing who comes out on top in the AFC. Is it going to be the Chiefs? Is it going to be the Ravens? We will see. But yeah, let's transition over to the next game. Your favorite team, the Eagles, took down the Green Bay Packers on Friday Night Football there in Brazil. And let's talk about it, man. The man, the myth, the legend, Saquon Barkley, in his Eagles debut, had 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 receiving, and he had a hell of a game, over 100 total yards. And what were your initial thoughts on Mr. Saquon Barkley's debut.
Yeah, I guess before I get into Eagles, I want to call out the NFL and say, how do you not fix the turf? Like, what's going on? You had
Yeah, talk
you had
about that.
200, 300-pound guys playing on a soccer field. Like people in Brazil playing on that soccer field, they're like 150. They don't weigh nothing, so it's easy for them to move around. But you got to think these guys are big boys. They need that. They need NFL turf. And man, they were slipping all over the place. And yeah, man, you got to think of player safety, right? You got to think of playing on good fields. So wasn't happy with that there. Let's talk football. You mentioned Saquon. Yeah, man, he balled out. I wasn't expecting him to go for 3 touchdowns because I felt like with Kellen Moore there, they're going to throw more. But man, we'll start off with his first touchdown, that wheel route. Really nice thrown ball over the top of the defense. And man, Saquon went up and he caught that. I don't think a lot of running backs are going to really go up and catch it, aside from like a McCaffrey or someone like that is going to go up and get it. So having that as an often as a weapon in the pass game is great. It adds another dynamic to it. And what I was really surprised with it was how much they pounded the ball with him. They pounded it like what 20 he took they run it like 20 something times, 26 I want to say. So he had a lot of rushing attempts, and the Packers for the most part were doing a pretty good job of containing it until the last play of the third quarter where he broke one for like 30 40-yard gain there that got him eventually over that 100 yards rushing. And yeah, and you could tell that he's pretty excited to run behind that O line. They created some really nice holes for him. He had some really great runs to the red zone. He used his strength to push his way in to the end zone on his last one, and the second rushing touchdown, the one he had before his second total touchdown, was a nice gap, and he just so quickly just ran into the end zone. It was really nice to see that too. Yeah, and then Jalen Hurts, I thought he played okay, not too great. I felt like the first play was the first interception he had on that third down when they were backed up on their goal line.
Xavier
He,
McKinney.
yeah, he threw that into triple coverage. That was a bad play. That was a bad read. Maybe that was because of not playing the preseason. I don't know, but he has 18 interceptions in the last 23 games. So, or it's the other way, 23 interceptions in the last 18. So he needs to not turn the ball over that much. And then he had the miscommunication with Jurgens there. That's on Jurgens mostly, but it's a miscommunication thing. So also a Hurts problem there. That's a result of not getting snaps in an actual pregame preseason reps there. That's what I blame that on. And the worst interception was the third one where you're in the red zone and you throw it in the triple coverage to AJ Brown, try to force it, and it wasn't there and it gets picked off. There you're up 5, throw it away, take the field goal, go up 8, make them drive back down the field. But yeah, and I thought the Eagles defense, I was a little bit worried, and I thought they played relatively decent. I thought the run game, the run defense was good for the first half. And then I think from not playing the preseason, the D tackles got tired and the defense got a little bit tired. So Josh Jacobs started to gash them on the ground. So there's stuff to work out up there. And Jordan Love, I thought he played an okay game too. He missed some throws to some wide open guys that were a little bit behind, a little bit off target. And if he put it on them, they might have been touchdowns, to be completely honest with you. So the pass defense, I thought they played pretty good. I thought Quinion Mitchell, the rookie, played pretty good too for his first game. I thought he was a flashpoint too. And Zach Bond with 15 tackles, like 2 sacks. He was all over the place as well. So all in all, I was pretty happy with it. Not satisfied with it. I think they have a lot to clean up, but a good first win. And I'll just end this by saying I hope Jordan Love's good. I know it's a MCL sprain. I think it's a long shot that he plays this week, but at least it's not season ending, and we'll get him back sometime soon. Because I think the Packers are a good team. I don't think it was their best showing. I don't think it was Matt LaFleur's best coach game. I felt like he should have, instead of taking the field goals, he should have went for the touchdown there instead of settling. So I felt like Matt LaFleur could have done a better job, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see how their season shapes out for the Packers too. But all in all, good game, fun, high scoring. As a viewing experience, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, prayers up to Jordan Love. Hopefully he gets a speedy recovery there. I think he's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks, but he might come back sooner, depending on how fast he recovers there. And yeah, let's talk about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley was a freak of nature, and you see what happens when you get him in space. He was making plays, got 3 touchdowns, and I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. Finally getting to see him have some success. Like, this is the player I was expecting with the Giants, but they did a terrible rebuild and did not give him an offensive line to run behind. And you insert him in that Eagles lineup there, you got to worry about AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert, all those guys. And Saquon now has all the time in the world to make plays happen, and he made a lot of plays happen this past weekend. And yeah, I'm jealous, but I'm happy for him, and I hope he balls out this year. Got him on my second fantasy team, and he balled out there, so happy for him. And yeah, hopefully he continues the success there. And yeah, Jalen Hurts was a little bit, rusty. I don't know, first time playing this season, didn't really get any preseason reps. 3 turnovers is not something you want to have in your first game. And, the Eagles are good enough that you can have 3 turnovers and still win these type of games. So imagine if you clean up the turnovers, this game could have been a blowout possibly. The turnovers kept the Packers in the game. But yeah, having 3 turnovers, the 2 interceptions, they weren't pretty at all. And yeah, that fumble all in all was a miscommunication with Cam Jurgens there. But all in all, I think Jalen Hurts, he had a solid game, found ways down the stretch to, get the Eagles the win. And that rushing play there, I believe he picked up the first down on that final drive to, get that field goal and set them up there. So all in all, if they clean up the sloppy turnovers and play their strengths and utilize Saquon like the way that they did and AJ Brown and get them in space, they should be contending for the division and contending for the Super Bowl this year. Like, they got plenty of time to fix those issues, and I think all in all, that was a good showing. It was the first game, week 1, and there's plenty of time to fix those miscues there. But yeah, Jalen Hurts, if he fixes those turnovers, I think the Eagles will be just fine. And yeah, you got some guys banged up as well, and they'll be coming back. So all in all, for the Eagles side of things, they look pretty good, and it's only week 1. Packers, Malik Willis, I'm not too excited to see. He's not really that good, but if they can find a way to, maybe go at least 500 here for the remaining games that Jordan Love is out, then I think they'll be fine. But you don't want to lose all the games that Jordan Love is out, because that will hurt you in a division with the Lions and the Bears and the Vikings, who won on Sunday. And we'll talk about that. But yeah, Matt LaFleur, yeah, it wasn't the greatest game coaching, but I think they'll be just fine. They were in this to the very end. And I think, Matt LaFleur will be just fine, and they'll probably still be a playoff team at the end of the day. But yeah, just hoping for a speedy recovery for Jordan Love. And yeah, it was a great game. Another great primetime game there. The second game of the season. But all in all, hopefully Jordan Love comes back sooner rather than later here. And it was a fun game. So I'll let you start the next topic.
You want me to go first?
I'll let you introduce the topic. And then
I'll introduce it. Okay. So let's go into the Sunday games starting at 1:00. We had Sam Darnold, the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, and the Vikings travel to East Rutherford, New Jersey to take on the New York Football Giants. Steve here is a big Giants fan. I don't know what the mood is, how he's feeling. He might still think they're going to finish third in the division, maybe not anymore. I'll turn it over to you. What's your initial thoughts?
What an absolute shit show that game was on Sunday. Holy shit. that was bad. Like, out of the past few years, that's probably one of the worst games. That's up there with the week 1 game from last year against the Dallas Cowboys,
Mhm.
dropping, well, it was like 40-0 last year. Okay. This is me having high hopes, being optimistic last year that, they want a playoff game. Everyone's coming back. We got some new pieces. They should be in contention for the playoffs again. Because, Daniel Jones, he won a playoff game. They just paid him. And Saquon's back. He's on the franchise tag, but he was back. This year, we lost Saquon. I get that. But supposedly we rebuilt the offensive line. And I'm not going to blame the offensive line in this game. I'm not blaming them. I'm not. They look decent out there on Sunday, but we rebuilt the offensive line. We got Malik Neighbors now in the fold, and Brian Dable is now calling the offensive plays instead of Mike Kafka. So, things are looking up. They're looking optimistic because of that. I know we lost Saquon Barkley, but we brought in a guy that's capable of, being a running back in Devin Singletary. He's not a bad back. He's an average guy. And defensively, you traded for Brian Burns. He's supposedly one of the better edge rushers in this league. Probably say like top 15, maybe creeping into top 10, depending on the season. And he did not show up on Sunday. We'll talk about that. And yeah, the corners, they're not the greatest, but the D-line, right? From on paper, it's projected to be a top 5 D-line in this league because you got Sexy Dexy there in the middle, Kayvon, who had 11 and a half sacks last year, and Brian Burns, who just got paid and is supposed to be a menace. Okay? So, you're feeling optimistic a little bit going into the season. At home, the 100th season for the New York Football Giants. They're wearing their throwbacks, their century red uniforms. That was a shit show. Daniel Jones. Oh my God. And remember how I said it was a little bit of an overreaction in the preseason when he threw the pick 6 and he threw the other pick? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lied about that. That's not an overreaction. That's
why
not
I'm here.
That's why you're here. You're here to reel me back in and come to reality. So let's talk about Mr. Daniel Jones, shall we? Let's talk about him. So Daniel Jones, ever since signing that contract, okay, he has thrown more pick 6s than passing touchdowns when signing that contract. And that contract was about a year and a half ago, okay? All right. So he has three pick 6s and 2 passing touchdowns. I believe since that contract, he has 2 passing touchdowns and 9 turnovers. That's not a good stat. It's not a good stat. Not a good stat for a guy that you're paying $40 million a year, $80 million guaranteed for the next, from last year and this year. Okay, so that's not good. And Daniel Jones, he won a playoff game. I understand why the Giants paid him. Brian Dable believed he can win with Daniel Jones. And, it just doesn't make sense on, like, what happened. How did he fall off so bad from that playoff season? How did he get so progressively worse since then? And I could say it's the neck injury that occurred last season and the ACL injury and blame it on that. But I'm not going to do that. I just think he sucks. He just sucks at this point. We've had 6 years of the Daniel Jones experience, and we went to the playoffs once, and we beat a Vikings team that they were good in the regular season, but they won a lot of 1-score games. So they were good. The offense was decent, but the defense wasn't that good. Now this time around, when we played the Vikings, they have a decent defensive coordinator now. You got Brian Flores, and Brian Flores showed you who the real Daniel Jones was. That's what happened this past Sunday, and it was sad. It was sad to watch. I couldn't watch the game after the pick 6. I turned it off. I was done. Like, all my hopes for this season just went down the toilet. Like, they're gonna finish probably last place now. I don't see them finishing in 3rd. And, maybe I'm overreacting to week 1, but I don't think I am. I really don't. I've seen the Giants experience before. I've seen the Daniel Jones experience before, and I'm just not excited for the season now after what I just saw aspire this past Sunday afternoon, and it was awful. And
Yeah.
the defense as well was lackluster. Like other than that first 2 drives, I believe, Dexter Lawrence got a pressure, he got a sack, and I believe on that same drive, I believe it was Andrew Phillips who caused a turnover there, and he made a great tackle and popped the ball out from C.J. Ham, the Vikings fullback, and yeah, Bobby Okereke got the fumble recovery. I'm like, okay, let's score a touchdown, let's get this thing going. Once I saw that we couldn't score a touchdown in the fucking red zone for the 100th time with Daniel Jones, I'm like, here we go again. And it was just awful. It was just awful because we only scored 6 points in this game, and we had plenty of opportunities to score touchdowns. Plenty. We had plenty of time in the red zone there, and we just can't get it together. Leak Neighbors, from what I saw, he looks good. Looks good. Had like 5 catches for 60 yards, but that was probably the best focal point on the offense. Other than that, the offensive line too. Let's talk about that. So the offensive line, they allowed, I believe, 2 sacks. And Daniel Jones allowed 3 sacks. He got 3 sacks because of him not being aware of the pocket. So naturally, the pocket closes over time, right? But he had plenty of time to throw the ball. And instead of being aware of the pocket and is focusing on his reads, he's not pocket aware and walks into a sack when, he could have easily avoided it. So PFF said Daniel Jones, the 3 sacks were on him and 2 sacks were on the offensive line. But yeah, I'll just stop talking about this. But all in all, Daniel Jones, when do I think this Daniel Jones experience will be over? This is what I said. I told my dad this. I gave him 3 strikes. That was strike 1. He has 2 more weeks left, and then he strikes out. So he got the Commanders this coming week. It's a winnable game. This is their next winnable game on the schedule, I would say, because then it gets rough. It gets really rough. Then they play the Browns. The Browns defense is great, but Deshaun Watson's kind of stinky. We'll talk about it. But these next 2 weeks, you have to prove that you still want to be the starter. Because if not, we're not rolling you out on prime time against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football in week 4. That's just not happening. So I think he has 2 more games left. If he does not show up, it's over. So I'm going to turn the floor to you and let you assess the situation.
Yeah, where do I begin? I guess when I was predicting this game and I was talking to you a little bit, I think I said jokingly when I saw you Friday that, do you guys think you're going to score a touchdown in the first half? You're like, oh, yeah, of course we are. Brian Dable's calling the plays. We're going to score. The Vikings aren't that good. Well, I predicted you guys would have 14. I thought you'd get 2 touchdowns. But, man, I think I was even a little bit, like, high on you guys. So 6 points is all you got there. But, man, it was just an atrocity from your guys' standpoint. Allowing Sam Darnold, who I think is finally in a good situation, and he learned, like, he was with a winning culture last year with the 49ers. He learned there. And it looked like when he was with KOC, who he deserves a lot of flowers, man. That's a hell of a coach. That's a football coach right there. Man, he had Sam Darnold balling. He looked like he was back in USC, man. He started the game 12-12, which is an indictment on your defense, to be honest. There's no reason for – I don't care if that's Patrick Mahomes. You should not start the game 12-12. Even if that was Mahomes back there, he should not.
I agree.
So that's an indictment on your defense, on schemes, and when I was watching Red Sun, so it turned over to your game. It's like whoever was calling the game was like, man, they got to switch over to man, because they're playing this soft zone. It's like, why are they not changing up their scheme? Make a man play tighter on him, make it harder for Sam Darnold to throw. And he made it look easy. He made it look very easy out there. So there's that. You brought up some good points. I even said in a previous video that I think Drew Lock will finish the year as your Giants quarterback. And I think you were like, no, I don't see it. I'm like, dude, the guy's not good. Drew Lock's going to finish the season. And yeah, I'm just here to keep you in reality, man. I do that with my team too. I just try to keep it real as I can, objective, especially after last season with my team. So yeah, honestly, the biggest disappointment was like the front four was not good. I even said, look, you guys have a good front four. I think that's a top unit in the league. Even you said it just a few minutes ago that it is. The fact that I don't consider the Vikings O-line as role beaters that great, but man, they struggled outside of like a Dexter Lawrence sack that I saw. They struggled to get pressure on Darnold too. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau was getting thrown around by Darrisaw all game. I saw him slipping, him getting thrown, and Darrisaw just pinning him to the ground and stuff. All legal, clean plays, by the way. But man, where were they? Like the milk cartons were on them, like missing in action. Where are they? Where's Brian Burns that you traded for? Man, I don't know. I'm thinking about your owner. He's got to be sitting there like, after watching Friday and seeing them trade Saquon and him having the game he did and looking at what his team did, how is he not looking at Shane and said, dude, what the fuck did you do to my team? We're dog shit. So I feel like Mr. Shane's on the hot seat a little bit too. I don't think he's proven anything. He really changed the situation around really either. I don't know if I'm going to put Brian Daboll there just yet, but I'm feeling like his seat's starting to warm up a bit too. He has time to turn around to show some kind of progress there, show a reason why he could stay and be the coach. But not looking good for Mr. Joe Shane though. Not looking good at all for him. He's failed to put another good roster around too, and he's in his third year, so not looking good for him. And shit, do I even say Gettleman was a better GM? Do I even go there? I don't know. Gettleman might have been better, and I think he was terrible too. So, yeah, it's rough. I do feel for you a little bit because I'd be like you too. I'd be like, this is unwatchable. I turn it off too after that, especially after that pick six. Man, that was just like the icing on the cake.
Literally right to him, like threw it right to him. It was just awful.
Yeah,
and that was the same guy that hurt him last year with the neck injury, Van Ginkel. They showed him like dying last year against the Dolphins and hurting his neck, and then the pick six right after. I'm like, shit.
Yeah,
shit, man. Like, it was rough. It was brutal.
I have a problem too with like after the game, I was like looking around and like Dexter Lawrence and was saying like I don't respect Giants fans that boo, and Kayvon Thibodeau was giving a reporter attitude about like how the D line played and the booing, and he kind of
just mad.
The next question.
They were just
but there was some good answers like Jason Pinnock. I know he's not a great player by any means, but he's like, yeah, we got to give the fans something to cheer about. That's on us. Even Daniel Jones said that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like your team mentality wise, you don't really have a leader there.
We lost him. He's in Philadelphia right now.
So I feel like you lost your leadership, and I feel like your football team's kind of soft, to be completely honest.
It is. We got Daniel Jones leading the helm, so yeah.
I mean, I felt like you guys gave up in that game. You don't have really a dog that's just going to play through it, play hard, give it 100%. I felt like they just kind of gave up once, like Jefferson scored that touchdown on fourth and goal, 4th and 2, whatever that was there. I felt like they gave up after that. So, yeah, I think
a lot of question marks there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, very depressing. And this is their next winnable game on the schedule. So if they don't win here, the season's over. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It's gonna be rough.
But yeah, expect Drew Lock to come in at some point. Brian Daboll said he didn't consider it, but man, he's going to be considering for.
He definitely did consider it. He's just going to give you that answer
Yeah.
for, I guess, the media availability.
That's true too. That's true.
He definitely did.
That's
Because
true.
he knows he's on the hot seat, and he doesn't want to lose his job because of Daniel Jones, and he knows it.
Yeah, man. I, I don't want to see you any more depressed. So
Yes.
I'll
Let's
turn
talk about
over
other
to
games. Let's talk about
other
other
game.
football.
Yeah, I want to start off with the Steelers Falcons game. We'll go through this pretty quick. The Steelers and Falcons game. Classic Steelers football. Just playing sound defense. TJ Watt was a fucking dog. He was all over the place, causing havoc, making Kirk Cousins' life tough. And Justin Fields, I felt like played not so good. He can't really throw the football at all, to be completely honest with you. But
Why
he's so darn athletic that he uses his legs well. The running game worked relatively well, and George Pickens had a nice day. My bad for saying sit him. I didn't realize that was my fault. He had pretty good fantasy output, but yeah, I thought Kirk Cousins struggled. He looked pretty terrible. Bijan Robinson was this bright spot. I thought he's going to be a problem to deal with all day. I mean, all year. He's going to have a great year, and yeah, and I feel like the defense for Falcons needs to play together, get some more reps to really understand Raheem Morris' system and all that. So I felt like it was just classic Steelers football. Play great defense, which they did, and don't turn the ball over and kick field goals. The defense will win you the game, and that's exactly what happened when the Steelers won 18-10.
Yeah. I'll talk about it a few seconds. I did not expect the Steelers to win this game, and they did. And kudos to them, especially with Justin Fields starting. And yeah, Kirk Cousins looked a little rough, first game off the Achilles, but I think they'll be just fine. But I don't know if they'll win this week. They're playing the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night, and that's a tough little task there. So we'll talk about that later. But
Yes.
yeah, we could talk about the next game. Patriots and Bengals, they got the upset. I did not believe the Patriots would win this game, first game with Gerard Mayo. And yeah, they got the job done. I really did not watch this game. My eyes were glued on that shitty Giants game we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe Burrow and company did not look the greatest. And yeah, got to give kudos to Gerard Mayo getting that job done. And yeah, Jacoby Brissett as well.
Well, I can expound about it a little bit more. Joe Burrow looked really, really bad, man. That Patriots defense is not very talented. I think that's maybe the worst put together roster as of now in the league. To be honest, is the New England Patriots, in my personal opinion. And they did not put a good performance together. I don't know what it is with Joe Burrow in like the early weeks of the season, but he looked pretty bad. And I don't understand it too. Like I get on Jalen Hurts for struggling this past week, and I get on him for struggling, but you got to understand, like, he has had different play callers. Kellen Moore's a new play caller, so he's learning a whole new system. Joe Burrow's been with Zach Taylor since he was drafted. I don't get why he looks like he's struggling. He can't read the field, missing throws, not looking athletic at all. He played a pretty bad. He was one of the worst quarterbacks this past weekend. Jacoby Brissett outplayed him, so
yeah,
I expect Mr. Burrow to turn it around, but really bad showing, disappointing showing for the Bengals. And I think the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson really ran the ball well. They just shoved it down their throat. They played tough. They played more physical. And that's what happened. The more tough, more physical team, the more perseverant team won. And that was Draw Mayo. He had his team ready, and they played hard. That's going to be the Patriot way. They're just going to play hard. They're going to out-physical you. Even though the Bengals had more talent, they just couldn't put it together. So that's that game in a nutshell for you there. But
all right.
with
And you could talk about the next game.
Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills played the Cardinals. Starting with the Cardinals side first. Actually, the dynamic kickoff. There was a kickoff return by the Cardinals. That dynamic kickoff we're going to see more kickoff returns, which is going to be exciting. So that's going to be awesome. So talking about the game itself, Kyler, I thought, played a pretty good game. I thought he was pretty good. James Conner ran the ball well too, and they were up by 17 points at one point. But then, man, Josh Allen was a dog. He was good. He threw for 2, ran for 2 touchdowns. Really nice performance by him. and he didn't really look too bothered with Stephon Diggs not being there. He still found Keon Coleman, who looks like he's going to be the number one eventually. He showed some flashes. He even found Matt Collins. No Dalton Kincaid featured, which the tight ends weren't really featured this weekend that much. Not a low production from the tight end from a fantasy football perspective. Not too much tight end stuff going on, except from I say it likely from the Baltimore game. But yeah, and James Cook ran well too. But man, that Josh Allen, the hurdle over the end zone, incredible. And what a performance by him. So I understand why he's like the MVP front runner, man. Was he good? He was awesome.
Yeah. I didn't really watch that game either, being honest. But Josh Allen is a beast. He's an MVP candidate for sure. And yeah, Marvin Harrison was a no-show, and he was wide open near the end of the game there, and Kyler just missed him. So like, it could have been a different outcome if Kyler just saw Marvin Harrison possibly.
Yeah.
But yeah, got to give credit to Josh Allen, bringing his team back from behind, and yeah, they're always going to be playoff contenders if Josh Allen's healthy, and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in this league, and he proves it week in and week out. So, yeah, all in all, good game, though, at the end of the day.
Well, it was a pretty good game. One of the better games in the 1 o'clock window. Just real quickly to get from the next two, Caleb Williams, he did struggle against the Titans. The Titans defense with what's his name? Denard Wilson. He was a former Eagles secondary coach who was with the Ravens secondary last year, coaching them. That Titans defense looks really good. Will Levis really, really struggled this game. That Bears defense created 25 points total in fantasy, which was a ton. But Caleb Williams did struggle. The defense did put the Bears on their back, really brought them back into the game. And yeah, so I expect him to be better and get better and better after this goes. A lot of the rookies struggled, but overall, they had to grind it out, and they grind it out to a win. So that's that one. And then I'll just go quickly. The Dolphins, they had a walk-off field goal. Tyreek Hill, the whole situation before the game with the whole cops.
Nuts.
He came in. He had a nice touchdown, like 80-plus yard touchdown, something ridiculous like that.
Free reach, baby.
With the handcuffs was like a cool celebration, I guess, for lack of a better word. And yeah, it was a good game. It was a little bit low scoring game, 17-14, but they found a way to win. And the defense for Miami played well. Jalen Phillips is back. He had a sack. They were creating pressure on Trevor Lawrence. I thought Trevor Lawrence played a decent game. And let me just say, Brian Thomas Jr. looks like a dog. He looks really good. So I'm excited to see him play for the Jaguars this year. And good win for the Dolphins. And I'll give it back to you, Steve. If you want to add anything to the last two games there.
Yeah, let's talk about my guy Anthony Richardson. Have him in fantasy, popped off, had some nice deep balls there. I believe one was to
I didn't
Alex.
know he had that cannon.
Yeah, he has that cannon, man, and he's a tank as well. Just rolling through defenders, and they can't stop him. They can't bring him down. And he's a freak of nature, and I expect big things out of this Colts team this year. And I think they will, possibly contend for, the wild card round there. And, maybe even a division. It was a really close game there with the Texans at the end of the day. And, yeah, I like what Shane Steichen and company's doing there. And, yeah, really, productive game by the Colts. And the Texans, they picked up right where they left off. Joe Mixon looked like a stud. And, yeah, Stephon Diggs didn't have much yards for production, but touchdown-wise, pretty solid. Got 2 touchdowns there in the red zone. So, yeah. Texans picked up right where they left off, and they look pretty good. And yeah, we'll talk about it for 2 seconds. The Saints pretty much butt fucked the Panthers there. It was like what 47 like 10 something stupid like that. But yeah, Derek Carr, he got 3 touchdowns on JC Horn, and then he like fucking celebrated on him and was trash talking with them. So yeah. Saints, Panthers look like shit. I'm sorry. Bryce Young looks like a bust. I'll just keep that short. And you got any?
Yeah, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, he's just in a shitty situation. What are you gonna do? But yeah, I'll let you talk about the next games.
I do feel bad for good old Bryce Young there as well. And yeah, Every time the Texans and Colts play is an absolute must see, much watch. What a game there. Yeah, let's keep rolling. Cowboys versus Browns. I wasn't expecting. I thought the Browns defense, and I didn't think Deshaun Watson was as bad as he was. Um, yeah, Dak got paid 4 years, 240, 60 million a year. Congratulations to him. He's the highest paid player in the NFL. So good on the Cowboys to getting that deal done. I wonder what this does for Mahomes. He got to pay him at least like 65, 70 on the next deal. So holy crap there. From the game, man, the Cowboys offense was dynamic. Dak looked really good. The run game was pretty decent. And CeeDee Lamb did his thing. Dak looked great. Yeah, and from the Browns' point, Deshaun Watson looks pretty bad and inaccurate. It looks like they got away from like the under center play action that Stefanski likes to run, and they went to more like a shotgun look, which it was interesting. I don't know why they did that, but Deshaun was missing throws. He missed a wide open down the sideline to Amari Cooper. He missed them there. Just an overall bad performance from that offense. I know they were missing their 2 tackles, but still, you got to put up a better performance than that. Micah Parsons wrecked the game. That Cowboys defense, Mike Zimmer, had them playing really well. So you got to give him credit there where credit's due. And I guess talking about Tom Brady real quick, not the best broadcasting debut, to be honest. I thought he could have been much better, more enthusiastic there. But I get it, his first time. But he's got to be better. I will say that. He's got to be better. I think he's going to do the Saints Cowboys game this coming Sunday. So we'll see if he is more enthusiastic come time. So
Yeah,
there's
you gotta
that.
have more energy there. I
Yeah,
agree.
he gotta have more energy. And anything you want to add there?
The Cowboys, man, like I told you, they're gonna be one of those teams that are gonna be really good this year. Like the Browns defense, they're supposed to be top 5, and that was not a problem for Dak. And the Cowboys here, they looked really good. Zeke actually looked decent. Like he looked like he had fresh legs. I don't know what it was, but Zeke actually looked pretty decent. And yeah, now they lost Jake Ferguson, so that might take a toll on their offense a little bit, and we don't know how long he's going to be out, but I believe it is a sprain to the MCL as well, same type of injury with like Jordan Love had there. So should be out like 3 to 4 weeks as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Cowboys, they look good. They look really good. It's only week 1, so don't want to overreact a little bit. And yeah, Deshaun Watson, what a shit contract the Browns offered him. He has not lived up to any of that guarantee money whatsoever, and that's probably one of the worst contracts in NFL history. And now you see Baker Mayfield. We're about to talk about him. He's balling out with the Washington Commanders there, right? So
yeah.
we'll talk
Let's talk
about
about
that
that.
game. Baker Mayfield balled out. Mike Evans was great. Chris Godwin was great. And yeah, Baker Mayfield, like, imagine if the Browns had Baker Mayfield. Just imagine how much better they would
Right.
be. They would look so much better. Like, Baker Mayfield flipped on the switch there once he arrived there in Tampa Bay, and yeah, they probably might win the division as well. So they're looking really good, and you got to give credit to Baker Mayfield. And I'll let you talk about Jaden Daniels because I know you're a big Jaden Daniels guy there.
Yeah, Dan Quinn said after the game that was not a good model of like how he wants his quarterbacks to play. He wants them to throw more. He didn't throw too many attempts. I don't know have the number right on top of my head, but he only threw for like a buck 50 passing. So he wants him to throw more. He wants him to get more yards that way. But dynamic with his legs, he'd rush for 2 touchdowns there. So I like that ability. A lot of the quarterbacks, when they have the ability to rush, it adds another dynamic there. And I thought Brian Robinson Jr. played a good game too. So, yeah, it's just the defense. There's not a whole lot of talent there. Like Benjamin St. Juste should not be starting in the NFL. He got absolutely cooked by Mike Evans on that one play where Baker Mayfield just kind of threw it up for him and he came down with a nice catch from it. And yeah, they just need to rebuild that defense for Dan Quinn to really implement the kind of football that he wants. He lacks talent on that side of the ball, but all in all, I think it was a decent first game. I did pick the Commanders to win, but foolish on me. I slipped on Baker Mayfield a little bit too much, so shame on me there. But quickly for the next two games. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, they beat the Raiders. The Jim Harbaugh way, man. The Harbaugh, if you want to win, hire a Harbaugh. Man, they just find a way to win games. J.K. Dobbins was electric, running the ball. He looks good, and Joe Alt, the first round pick, he looks great too.
Stud,
He was
stud,
blocking, giving Max Crosby and those got Christian Wilkins and those boys
giving
problems.
him the works.
Yeah, he looks great. That looks like the best pick of the whole draft right now. So not the sexy pick, but he looks great. And yeah, and it takes some pressure off of Justin Herbert. It doesn't have to be a Superman. He could hand it off. They're going to pound it. They're going to play good defense. That defense played well too. Gardner Minshew struggled, I felt like, as well. So yeah, I think the Chargers are on the way up for sure there. And then I'm just going to go in the next one. Seahawks, they did beat the Broncos. Bo Nix did really struggle in this game. I get it. First starting game there. The defense for Seattle played pretty well. They did play pretty well. Um, yeah, I didn't. You could probably expand on that a little bit more. That game, you may seem a little bit more than I did, but I thought Geno Smith played okay. It was just an interesting first time coaching experience for Mike McDonald. First time for Mr. Grubb calling that offense. I felt like the passing game. I feel like they'll get better and more rhythm. I thought it's like a little bit sloppy. I felt like this was in general a sloppy game overall. So not too much to write home there, but it was a good W for the Seattle Seahawks in a competitive NFC West. I felt like.
Yeah, I didn't watch much. Saw some highlights. Bo Nix, he's gonna have, not the greatest of starts. It's his first game, but
Yeah,
from what I saw, he looked good. He looked poised in the pocket and was making the right throws when they needed to be made. And yeah, he'll pick up the turnovers there and fix that mistakes. But yeah, the Seahawks defense just gave them a little too much trouble. But all in all, I think Bo Nix will be just fine, and I think Bo Nix will actually be a solid quarterback at the end of the day. So the Broncos might have something there.
yeah.
We could talk about the next game, and I'll let you talk about it. Transition over.
Sure. Sunday Night Football, the Lions and the Rams, a rematch from that playoff game they had this past winter. And man, what a game it was there. The Lions, Jameson Williams was the standout for me there. Coming in, he's like their fourth or fifth option, and he looked really, really good. He was fast, he was quick. I thought Ben Johnson was great in how they utilized him. The offense looked good. David Montgomery at the end in overtime there ran in nicely to seal that win. I like the running back combination there. That offense is going to be a problem. That team's going to be a problem as well. We have them both going in the Super Bowl, but the Rams put up a fight. They do. They do play hard. I felt like the defense played hard. They made it a little bit tough on the Lions. It was a good grind of a game there. And Matt Stafford, every time I watch him, I come away more impressed. I thought he played well, aside from that one interception in the red zone he had. Just missed him, just didn't see the defender there. I thought he played well despite losing Puka at the end of the first half there. Man, Cooper Kupp went off. He targeted him like 21 times. Eat up a lot of the targets, and he balled out. He looked fantastic. Stafford looked good despite that O-line play. The Avila, the right tackle, went down. They have a lot of young guys up there. Despite having that, they played well. They played tough. And at the end of the day, the overtime rules, whoever gets the ball is most likely going to win that game. And it's hard to stop that, contain that Lions offense for that whole game. So they were tired and they just gashed him. Montgomery on the ground just gashed him. They just imposed their will at the end there. And yeah, credit to both teams. It was a hell of a game. Way to cap out this Sunday night games.
Yeah. I didn't really watch much of that one either. But I do believe that, yeah, the Lions are the real deal, and I think they will be one of those top NFC teams, and I have them going to the Super Bowl. I have them winning the Super Bowl. So they put that on full display and showed that they can beat these teams. They could beat the Rams. And, yeah, it was a game to the very final second there in overtime. And I love that 1-2 punch with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Like, that's one of the best running back rooms in the NFL. And, I like Dan Campbell. I like what he's doing. He changed the culture there. And, just got to get Amon-Ra more involved. He wasn't really in the game plan this past week, but I feel like that won't be an issue. And I believe, Puka Nacua, hopefully he comes back healthy, but I think the Rams will be fine just without him. They have guys there that are vets that have played plenty of football, and Demarcus Robinson, and I forget the other guy's name. But yeah, Demarcus Robinson, I think, will fill in that void just fine. And Cooper Kupp has been a dog, and I think he's going to go back to those wide receiver one type games that he was having 2 years ago, after, last year with the injury riddled season. So all in all, I think it was a great week of football, and I guess we can wrap off the episode there. And hopefully guys did enjoy this podcast episode. Talked a lot about the football, shit on my Giants, talked about Saquon Barkley and all the rest of the teams there. So hopefully guys did enjoy. If you did, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We would really appreciate it. And go follow our socials as well. There's a link tree down below. Go check that out. And any final words, Justin, before we end off this video today?
Yeah, I just want one thing to say. I want to say great job by the NFL and Apple Music to get my guy, one of my favorite artists, Kendrick Lamar, to perform at the
I wanted Creed, damn it.
halftime.
I wanted Creed.
That was awesome. Genius with giving the whole thing with him and Drake, the whole beef thing. I thought it was amazing. Great job there. I think he's going to have one of the best Super Bowl halftime performances in a while. So I'm really excited for that. That was awesome.
Okay. Well, there you go. There you have it. That will conclude episode 53 of the BenchWire podcast. We'll catch you guys later. BenchWire.
Out, man.